Today in crypto, is Bitfinex too big to fail? Well, it would appear that some big money investors think that the answer is yes, it is, as they circle their wagons around Bitfinex and lay their money down on the table. I'll be breaking down the situation for you, as well as the possible implications that this could all have on Bitcoin. And let's just get into it, guys. It is amazing that all of this Bitfinex nonsense is happening so quickly after the New York Attorney General announced that they were taking action against iFinex, who owns both Tether and Bitfinex. And that is where we're going to start our story today, because Tether and Bitfinex are largely the same entity, and they are inseparably intertwined. It is worth remembering, of course, that they lied and they said that they were not connected before we had the whistleblower leak called the Panama Papers, which actually revealed their lie, and also that the audits have never been delivered in spite of being promised. And in an industry in which we are striving so hard for transparency, Tether and Bitfinex have done everything possible to be shady as heck and to be opaque at every opportunity that they can get. You have to wonder, at a time when other companies are trying to increase transparency and come into the light, why isn't iFinex doing the same thing? Why not get regulated? Why not just play ball? Well, bad things can take place in the shadows, and the longer you can remain there, the longer you can do those things, and the more money you can make. Anyway, it seems that Bitfinex has misplaced $850 million of customer and corporate funds mixed together. This has resulted in some rather fancy accounting work, which essentially saw an equal amount of Tether's underlying dollars used by Bitfinex to cover that loss of $850 million, with Bitfinex putting up shares in the company as collateral, resulting in Tether only being 74% backed. Bitfinex, of course, casually forgot to mention all of this nonsense to the investors and, of course, to any of the holders of Tether that Bitfinex had $850 million seized. I mean, hey, who cares about all that, right? It's only $850 million. I mean, just because they hid the identity of their owners and lied about the audits, and then, of course, forgot to mention about having the $850 million of customer money seized, I mean, it's not like they would be lying about anything else, would they? Right? Seriously, Lark. Come on, Lark. Be an adult here. Just ignore the history of all the lying and assume that Bitfinex and Tether are not lying to you this time about anything else. Yeah, right. I have a feeling that when the prosecutors actually start digging in, they're going to find all kinds of dirt that Bitfinex and Tether have been up to, because Tether and Bitfinex have basically lied about everything they can whenever they can, or have at least been as shady as possible when they could be. I feel like somewhere right now, there's a dude in a room shredding documents and burning them afterwards, while another dude's there throwing boxes of cash onto a private jet, which is bound for somewhere with tough anti-extradition laws. The journey continues, guys. Now, this new event of potential fraud is just another moment in the long history of Tether's overall weirdness. But I wanted for a moment to actually go back in history a little bit, back to 2016 and the Bitfinex bailout number one. Or, well, it's kind of more like a bail-in, really. You see, Bitfinex got hacked for 120,000 Bitcoin, which at the time was worth about $72 million, and the losses were spread to users who experienced a generalized loss of 36%. Yes, that is correct. They enforced a bail-in on exchange users and took 36% of account holders' funds. Crazy. And in exchange for that, Bitfinex users were given a Bitfinex token in place of their stolen funds. The BFX token was redeemable for shares in Bitfinex, and that was, to be honest, a pretty crazy move. But that was 2016, guys. Those were very different times. And there were far fewer exchanges. And the market, the whole crypto market overall, was actually much smaller back then, only around $12 billion for the total market cap of crypto at the time that the hack actually happened. Now, back in that time, Bitfinex being hit for $72 million or 120,000 Bitcoin at the time was pretty big because Bitfinex was the king daddy of crypto exchanges back then. But now, it's around number 49, which takes us on to number 2, bailout number 2 that is, which is where we are now. Now, Bitfinex is calling this an IEO. They're essentially looking to raise $1 billion from big money investors. Each token that they're putting up is going to be worth $1, purchasable with Tether. Right. Oh, these guys are funny. I love it. It's great. You can't make this stuff up. Now, the token will be called Leo. It will be a utility token. According to documents, Leo token holders will enjoy reduced crypto-to-crypto trading fees on Bitfinex and the company's decentralized exchange, EOSFinex. Moreover, the token will also reportedly grant decreased lending fee reduction, withdrawal and deposit fee discounts, and derivatives fee reductions. Bitfinex has announced that $600 million is already taken in terms of allocation by private investors. Who are these people? Really, who's buying this? Exchanges? Whales? I mean, $600 million worth of a utility token for a shady exchange? That's crazy. That's crazy and is in of itself suspicious. Who are these people? Now, the remaining $400 million balance will be available to people like you, to retail investors on May 10th. Would you buy this? Let me know down below if you want the Leo token and if you're going to be participating in the bailout of Bitfinex. Now, if all of the previous lies and deception were not enough, then surely this new mess must be enough to get crypto investors away from Bitfinex, but it seems like they're putting in hundreds of millions of dollars. But they keep sucking on that Tether teat, and it's hard to get off of it. It seems that some investors think that Bitfinex is indeed too big to fail, and that Bitfinex and Tether basically acting like the big banks in their brazen breaking of the rules and in their deception of customers is just the way that business is done. But no, I don't want that to be the way business is done. And Bitfinex is not too big to fail, nor is Tether. But Tether would cause a lot of pain if it did fail, as it is still used by so many people to hedge in and hedge out of Bitcoin. But let us not have too big to fail in crypto. It is just a rehashing of the worst of the worst of the fiat world and has no place in a better financial future, which Bitcoin can help us build. We should not reward Bitfinex for their bad behavior with $1 billion in money. We are still so early in this space, guys. The crypto economy is still just a baby. And the things we are doing now and over the coming years will determine who we become as an industry and as a community. Do we want to recreate the broken banking class anew with a less accountable leadership? Or do we want better? Some people have even come out and said that this could be something like a Mt. Gox 2.0 kind of situation. I'm kind of a yes and no on this because it seems that there are enough well-funded insiders to make Bitfinex stay together and to prop up this entire house of Tether cards that we see going on right now. But this is not the same as when Mt. Gox went down. The crypto economy has grown so much since then. And Bitfinex, as we already mentioned, isn't even a super important exchange anymore. I mean, in terms of daily volume, it has fallen big time, only now being just in the top 50 when it used to be consistently a top 5 exchange or the top exchange. But the lies are the same as what we heard with Mt. Gox, so they do have that in common, winning. Now, a common line of defense has been, hey, it's all good, man. Tether's 74% backed, which is definitely more than we can say about the fractional reserve banking system, right? It's true. But that is like saying, hey, You see this big flaming pile of crap over here? It smells way better than this other, bigger, burning pile of crap. You're still smelling crap, guys. What's wrong with everyone? Now, Tether today would literally not survive a bank run if it were to happen. If everyone went to ask for their money, Tether would collapse, which I suspect could be part of the reason for the extreme urgency of launching the IEO Leo token and, of course, of raising that $1 billion to cover their losses. Remember, the total value of all Tether is really not that big when considering the larger picture of the markets. A bank run could actually happen on Tether, which is crazy. While in the real world, it's actually much more difficult to pull that off considering the scale of the economy. Also, the biggest and really, to be honest, only defenders of Bitfinex that I have seen are investors in Bitfinex, people that hold shares in Bitfinex, or who otherwise have some kind of conflicts of interest where, for example, Bitfinex is invested in their company, so now they're out defending Bitfinex. Now, many of these same people are the ones who, of course, run around screaming, Litecoin's a scam, Ethereum's a scam, the Fed is a scam. Oh, okay, well, actually, on that last one, they're kind of right about the Fed being pretty scammy. But when it comes to Tether and Bitfinex, the line of thought has been like this, like, hey, just hold on there a second, guys. This is a really complicated situation with all kinds of nuance and details. We must have a very serious, rational adult conversation about this. Really, guys? These are the people who are saying that the emperor is wearing a fine robe of the most elegant silks, while anyone not invested in Bitfinex or a Tether shareholder is out there screaming, yo, that's a fat old sick guy. Would you guys stop rubbing his Johnson? It's gross. What's wrong with you people? That's about where we are with Tether and Bitfinex at the moment. Of course, you also wouldn't want to go around asking any kind of silly questions like, hey, if Bitfinex is such a damn profitable company, why did they need the loan in the first place from Tether? And now, of course, the bailout via the IEO. If getting the $850 million back from crypto capital will be so easy, then why are you having a $1 billion IEO to cover the losses? If Bitfinex is really not worried about the New York Attorney General, then why raise $1 billion at the last minute? It's kind of crazy. These guys could literally just exit scam with that $1 billion. I'm not saying that's what they're going to do, plus all the Tether reserves, of course, as well. But, I mean, really, they sold you a token. That's their only real obligation when they sell such an utility token to you. Just because the exchange goes under or the government shuts it down wouldn't mean that they didn't deliver the token to you, would it? Meanwhile, of course, millions of dollars in Ethereum and Bitcoin have been moved out of Bitfinex over the last week. All while regular users continue to say that they are experiencing withdrawal delays or withdrawal issues, possibly signaling that only connected insiders are able to easily move out of Bitfinex. Most likely, they keep the whole thing rolling, though, as long as they can, because why would Bitfinex and Tether want to kill the cash cow before they need to? Because Bitfinex has long been accused of all of this kind of massive market manipulation. And Bitfinex has always been shady as hell, guys. You got to keep that real. With accusations of wash trading to support the prices running rampant for years. Which, when we consider the other lies and the other deceptions that we've seen from these teams, it all seems quite probable. And this, of course, has meant that the regulators have had their sights set on Bitfinex for quite some time, as well as, of course, looking in on that Tether dumpster fire. Tether has for a long time been a tool of market manipulation, where we see these big early investors continuing to game the market. These guys are not, OGs. They're not your friends. They are the banker class of the crypto industry, but worse, less accountable, more opaque. But hey, you know what, for a minute, I want to play devil's advocate here, just to kind of throw some different ideas for you to think about around. This is all just FUD, designed to hurt a company which has struggled over the years to operate with the utmost of integrity while being persecuted at a state level, and has just had trouble getting reliable banking partners through all of this mess. How dare we question the integrity and the honor of Tether and Bitfinex? Well, okay, but seriously, guys, some real questions ask, why is Bitfinex getting so much heat from regulators when banks get away with this exact kind of stuff on a daily basis, and 10 times worse, to be honest? Is this just a push to try and force people to more regulated cryptocurrency exchanges like Gemini and Coinbase, which are the darlings of compliance? Will Bitfinex be made an example of in order to scare other exchanges into compliance? Bitfinex is a profitable business, and it is worth a lot of money. So who cares if they play some kind of fancy accounting tricks like the other big boys do? Bitfinex will pay Tether shareholders 6.5% interest on the loan that they took out, which is a good enough deal for those shareholders. And the Leo token could actually provide real value to exchange users. So why worry about the fact that, again, they did some accounting magic? Who cares? The New York Attorney General playing sheriff is exactly the kind of government overreach that we're trying to avoid in the crypto economy. Let the markets decide, not the regulators. The lawsuit is a witch hunt, and the seizing of funds was designed to force this situation and to then publicly burn both Bitfinex and Tether. Certainly, there couldn't be any pressure from the likes of Paxos or Gemini or Circle's Dollar and their stablecoins, which are backed by these powerful big money players, and which are, of course, regulated and compliant, and just so happen to be direct competitors to Tether. Will the New York Attorney General get her revolving door bonus and a seat on the board of, say, USDC after this is all finished? All of this will blow over and business will just continue as usual. Yeah, it might, actually, but to be honest, I'm still not using Tether and I'm still not using Bitfinex. But these are some interesting points I think that we should all consider when looking at this story, and there's probably some shades of truth in all of that stuff there, but for consideration. The real question, of course, I know a lot of us want to know is, what will the repercussions of this be for the price of Bitcoin? Should Tether and Bitfinex crumble? Well, Bitfinex crumbling would, to be honest, not really be all that traumatic, especially at this stage in the crypto game. But Tether failing, well, that could be potentially disastrous, of a Mount Gox level proportion if it happened overnight, that is. Possibly. Competitors, of course, are scrambling to get bigger and bigger by the day, trying to get people over to their services. People are already moving into those alternatives. And every time that happens, the impact of a Tether collapse becomes less and less relevant. But there is massive exposure to Tether across the markets, with most major cryptocurrency exchanges having massive volume in Tether pairs, and of course much lower volume in other stablecoin pairs currently. But you know what? Doesn't matter. We will all be better off with Tether and Bitfinex being out of the game, as they have proven time and time again to be dishonest actors, and there will be price pain if Tether goes down. Well, it is still so powerful. But these organizations have been nothing but thorns in our side for a long time. But Lark, what can I do? Don't use Bitfinex. Don't use Tether. Use an alternative. Use an exchange that supports fiat like Coinbase. There are so many options, and it's really simple to use these. You just have to choose them. Also, don't store your cryptocurrencies on exchanges, guys. Insolvencies happen. Major exchange hacks happen. And interestingly, of course, too, these big money players are pulling out of Bitfinex, which should say a lot to you. They're withdrawing huge amounts of Ethereum and huge amounts of Bitcoin from Bitfinex over the last week, which you might find concerning on some level or another. Now, maybe they just want to let this all pass over and then they'll put all their money back in. Or maybe they're just jumping ship, never to return for Bitfinex because they know the game is up. Bitfinex has been in trouble for a long time for one reason or another, and this current event may just be that final nail in the coffin. One Bitcoin, of course, will always be worth one Bitcoin, guys, and it is backed by math and is backed by transparency. Remember that. Bitfinex, on the other hand, is run by a group of people proven to be dishonest in their dealings, and the exchange has a long history of being accused of all sorts of the worst practices and manipulation via Tether. Tether, of course, which relies on a network of trust made up of shady people with a proven track record of deception, backed, of course, by an inflationary dollar, which is backed by the faith that the economic house of cards and the $23 trillion of debt will not collapse. Yeah, I'm going to take the Bitcoin personally, guys. Thanks for all that, but I'll take the Bitcoin. And that, at the end of the day, is the point. Just think of all the FUD that is flying around the crypto market on a daily basis. Oh, India's gonna ban cryptocurrencies. China's banning cryptocurrencies. Another exchange hack happened. Oh my God, those guys exit scammed. And then Bitfinex and Tether FUD, repeat. All of this is just passing noise, guys. Buy Bitcoin, hold Bitcoin, be part of the future of finance. This, like all other things, will pass, while the Bitcoin honey badger will continue to not care about any of this and will continue moving forward, delivering censorship-resistant, frictionless, cheap, global 24/7 money. If the price goes down a little bit because Tether collapses, if the price goes down a lot because Tether collapses, I'm going to buy the dip. That'll be amazing. But I think we're actually going to see more of a slow transition away, unless, of course, we see some groundbreaking announcement come out of the New York Attorney General. But anyway, those are just my 2 Satoshis, guys. As always, you will let me know what you think about Bitfinex and Tether and all of this ongoing drama down below in the comments section. And if you are new around here, make sure to check out Cryptocurrency Explained. It is my free 5-hour course designed for beginners. Or if you know somebody who wants to get into cryptocurrency, send them over to thecryptolark.org. There you will find all the videos hosted, also playlist here on YouTube. Or you can go over to Udemy, where I also have the course Cryptocurrency Explained hosted. If you did enjoy today's video, leave a thumbs up on it. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you are new around here. Long live the blockchain, and peace out till next time.